all living in a world gone geek. It's time to geek hard or go home. The podcast is real. Here's your host, Grounded Geek.
Hey everybody, welcome back to The Podcast is Real, World Gone Geek's flagship YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook show. Also doubles as a podcast. We are so glad that you're here. It is episode 2 of season 2. We are excited to go. We apologize that we were supposed to have an episode last week, so this would have been episode 3, but that didn't happen. We had some technical difficulties, basically 7 blue screens of death in a row as I was trying to get things ready, and so it didn't happen. Totally wiped my computer. Everything's working now. We figured out what was doing it, and we're back. Here we are, season 2. Tonight's the Emmys. That's very exciting. That starts at 8, so we're going to try to get done before them because we like to watch those. But we have a very special guest today. It's going to be a great show, and I'm so glad that you guys are here. But tonight's guest is an actor with nearly 60 credits to his name in IMDb. He's appeared in 3 different Marvel universes and possibly is the only other actor to do that other than Stan the Man Lee himself. We're not sure. We'll have to do some digging and statistics, but I think he might be the only one. And he's going to share some of his stories on set. His name's Kurt Yu, and he's going to be joining us very soon. But before that, let me bring on my illustrious co-hosts. Here is Utah and Aaliyah. Welcome to the show, guys. We're so glad you're here.
Hey,
and I'm very jealous of your drink. Share it with us. Show us what you've got.
Sorry, I'm drinking my limited edition Sanzo sparkling water.
It's just water.
This one happens to have the legendary Tony Leung on it.
Yes, that's so cool. And now, where do you get those?
Well, so Sanzo, they don't have a lot of distribution except on the coasts mostly.
Okay.
I actually
ordered it.
I mail ordered this because I was such a big fan of the movie.
Yeah.
He sent it to him personally.
Yes, Tony Leung was apologizing for somehow misplacing my premiere ticket, and so he sent me this.
Is that
instead.
what it is?
Yeah.
Well, now you're on the hook for getting Tony Leung on the show next week. So,
well, I'll see what I can.
So
do.
you heard it here, folks. Utah is personally going to bring Tony Leung.
Oh, there he is. Here he is.
All right. So that's not happening. Please don't think that we're not. It would be great if you did come on next week, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Well,
guys, the Emmys are happening tonight, and it's been a great couple years for television. It really has, because everybody's been stuck at home watching it, right? And so they've really just been like knocking out lots of great shows, and everybody's been spending a lot of time in front of the television. But I wanted to ask you guys, as our kind of our icebreaker today, what you guys are predicting for best comedy, best drama, and best limited series or anthology. So those kind of like are the 3 big show. Obviously, there's actors and movies and all the different things. But I just want to, what are the shows that we've been watching all this time that you think are going to get the most attention tonight? Utah, go first.
I have a soft spot for all the Marvel shows because they've been so good. But at the same time, compared to all the other stuff that's going on, I feel like it's a combination of the Emmys not quite ready to kind of recognize a lot of the new superhero genre, Star Wars genre shows quite yet.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, the quality of some of especially the dramas, are really outstanding.
Sure.
And tough competition.
Well,
as much as I love WandaVision,
before you give your prediction, I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and talk about that. So the dramas, we'll start with the dramas. We'll go through all 3 of them. The Boys,
love it.
Bridgerton, The Crown, Handmaid's Tale, Lovecraft Country, The Mandalorian, Pose, and This Is Us. All right,
see?
Utah, your pick.
See, that's
a tough category.
That's a tough category. Myself, I've watched The Boys, The Crown, some of The Handmaid's Tale, Lovecraft Country, The Mandalorian, of course, and some of This Is Us. And of all those, I don't know. It's tough to ignore The Crown and Bridgerton. I mean, I feel like those are pretty much right in the, right in that perfect sweet spot for Emmy win. But I would love to see The Mandalorian or The Boys win.
Yeah.
But that's I'm not one of I don't get a vote. So
yeah, right. Aaliyah, what do you think of those ones I mentioned? Now I know you watched The Boys because you watched that with us, and we had some discussions on that last season. And which it's coming back. which I can't wait. So that's going to be fun. But what do you think about some of these other shows? I know you didn't watch The Mandalorian yet because we're not letting you watch that until we've totally indoctrinated you in all the Star Wars you need to see beforehand. So
I know. We still got to plan that.
So that one's out there. But yeah, what would be your pick based on buzz, whatever hearsay, whatever you've heard? What do you feel like is getting the nod tonight for drama?
So I've seen The Handmaid's Tale, almost all of it.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? They're on the 4th season now. I've seen almost all of the 4th season, and that's going to be my pick. I loved The Boys, but The Handmaid's Tale, oh man, that was such a good series. It was such a good series. Like I felt angry, happy.
It made you feel
sad.
things. That's what,
made
that's
me
good
feel
TV.
so many different things.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to go with the Handmaid's Tale, as much as I love The Boys, but also I haven't seen the others. So maybe I'm a little biased, but
sure.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the Handmaid's Tale.
Awesome. I'm going with Lovecraft Country. I think that's the best. I think that's one of the best new shows in a very long time. It's so unique. It's so kind of over the top, just like, and the acting, the directing, the writing, every episode, you did not know what to expect. It took all different directions. I thought every episode was a surprise. But yeah, Lovecraft Country for me. And I think I'd like to see it win lots of things, like almost anything it's nominated for, so that HBO will regret the decision to not do a season 2, because they're not, which I don't understand. It's very strange. So, I mean, I know there's lots of, reasons for the decisions and financial and whatever, but hopefully they'll change their mind. So, Lovecraft Country for me. Comedy, we've got Blackish, Cobra Kai, who our guest today has been on, Emily in Paris, The Flight Attendant, Hacks, The Kaminsky Method. I'm going to say it this way, Pen 15, but if you write that out, it's a different word. And Ted Lasso for comedy. Utah.
Of all those, in my heart, I'd like to see Cobra Kai or Ted Lasso win. But I feel like Ted Lasso is going to take it.
Mm-hmm.
I've only watched 1 or 2 episodes of it, but I haven't heard a bad thing about it from anyone who has watched it. Anyone. People I trust, people I don't trust, people I know, people I don't know. They all
You're asking people you don't trust. What's your favorite?
I'm
TV
just
show
walking.
right now?
I'm just grocery shopping, and somebody will say, "Hey, you know what? That Ted Lasso is a fantastic show." I'm like, "Can I have the black beans, please?"
It does spark that kind of joy. It really does. You can't help but share it with other people. It's kind of like, it's like, once you have, and so I'm just going to say it. I'll just go ahead and, sorry, Aaliyah, I'm going to jump in the middle here and say Ted Lasso is absolutely the best show that's come out in a very, very long time. It's so full of it's positive, but it's also like heartfelt. Like, I don't know. I just love it. It's very not wholesome. At all what I expected. To me, it was Major League in a soccer field, right? In England.
That's a good...
it's definitely, at least the first season is definitely the plot of Major League, basically.
Yeah, it is.
And there's even a speech in there that's very similar. And there's a line towards the end that is taken straight out of Major League. So I think they know that they're reference, and they know they're homaging that. But at the same time, it's, even though I love Major League as a Clevelander, I mean, that's, everybody in Cleveland loves Major League. It's like a rule. If you live here, you have to adore that
watch
film
it and like it.
No, but gosh, it's just so positive. And I have actually seen it first season twice now. Watching the second because my family didn't watch it the first time, so we're all caught up. Dude, the show is great, and second season
like
not as great as the first, but it's still fantastic. Sorry, that's me, Ted Lasso. I could gush about it all day long. Although I will say, if you haven't seen The Kaminsky Method on Netflix,
that's a good one.
It is a really good show, and I was in tears in the last episode. So I'm hoping Michael Douglas gets some attention for that role, because man, that's a really good show. Aaliyah, what did you think was the best comedy?
I'm gonna have to skip this one because I haven't seen like any of them.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Yeah,
that's fair. Which one?
But it's nice when these things come out, because I've seen like some of Blackish. Yeah.
What people are talking about, and it's like, oh.
But not only that, it also shows me that I don't watch like normal TV that
Sure.
everybody else watches.
It's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's not. Yeah, especially when you're watching. You were just talking about watching anime, and we know
You're watching anime.
some of those are amazing too. They don't get a lot of Emmy nods, but hey, with Cowboy Bebop coming in live action, who knows? Maybe we're gonna.
John Cho looks so good.
I'd like this. Maybe that'll get some Emmy nods. Who knows? All right, so limited series. This is the one I think is going to be kind of interesting. This is where WandaVision comes in. So I was really kind of surprised to see that. I May Destroy You, which I haven't seen. Mare of Easttown, I have seen. That was Kate Winslet. The Queen's Gambit, saw that Netflix. That's really good. And The Underground Railroad, I have in my watch list on Prime. So I'm going to be watching that soon. It looks amazing. Aaliyah, what do you think of those shows? Now I know you watched WandaVision. Have you seen any of the other ones?
I will go with The Queen's Gambit because that one definitely made me cry.
Yeah.
I cried at the Queen's Gambit.
It's pretty darn good, wasn't it?
It was so good. Yeah. That last episode, I was just like, yes. I was cheering for her. I was so excited.
So great.
She knows who I am.
Utah, how about yourself?
Of all those, I've seen Mare of Easttown, Queen's Gambit, WandaVision. My heart wants WandaVision to win because I thought it was such a great risk and an incredible change of direction for anything Marvel, anything superhero. And was really well done till the very end. But I feel like Queen's Gambit is going to take it. It was really, really well done, even though they're being sued by some Russian chess players.
Yeah, that's interesting.
They are?
Yeah, so basically there's a line, and it's kind of a throwaway line in the movie. It's not throwaway to this person because this person is a real person that they reference. And she's a Russian chess player that they reference, the commentators reference. And they say that she has, won all these things, but she's never played a man. And that's why this girl playing a man in Russia is such a big deal.
Such a big deal.
Well, this woman is like, excuse me, by that time I had played many men and I was very good, and you just made it look like I was afraid to face men. And so she's suing them for like besmirching her character or something. Yeah. Which I get it, but it's also like nobody knew. No offense to this poor woman who has obviously achieved greatness that I will never achieve. And kudos to her because it is amazing. But nobody knew that. Nobody was like, "Oh, that lady." You know what I mean? Like nobody. I don't know. So I don't know what Netflix will probably settle, give her some money. But yeah, that's what's happening with that.
I didn't even realize that it was like a true story. I just thought that it was
based in true events. Now she's the main character, Anna Taylor-Joy plays, not
totally
real.
Fictional.
That's fictional, but some of the events and some of the things that took place in history at that time were real, and in particular, that woman's accomplishments being basically erased and glossed over, which is fair. I understand why she's upset about it. But then, so I'm just going to say, yeah, definitely it's probably the Queen's Gambit as well. I love WandaVision. Mare of Easttown was fantastic, but it was also pretty run of the mill. What did Saturday Night Live made fun of the whole murder of the dirter. It's all these New England people.
We got to solve the dirter murder.
Yeah. So, which and
say that a lot in our house.
When I watched that Saturday Night Live skit, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. This is like every Dennis Lehane book / movie ever. But those are excellent. So was this? Do you know what I mean? So I'm not knocking it. But
SNL was brilliant.
I feel like Queen's Gambit and WandaVision offered something that we haven't seen before. It was very, very new. And so, yeah, I'm going to give it to Queen's Gambit. So that's what's happening. 8:00. We're going to watch those and see if we're right. It's going to be interesting. We'll talk about it a little bit next week to find out if we were right at all. But as long as we're talking about the Emmys and we're talking about TV and we're talking about Cobra Kai, we mentioned, and so we're going to talk about Marvel. You were talking about Marvel, right? WandaVision, the Marvel MCU. We have a very special guest tonight who's come on to talk to us about his career as an actor, about his time in Hollywood and making all these movies. We're gonna watch a little bit of his demo reel, and then when we're done with that, we're gonna talk to Kurt Yu. So let's take a look at this demo reel.
Dr. Yoon, is it?
Yes.
How do you spell that?
You're looking right at it.
I know, but I'm just asking you.
What exactly are you asking me?
My friends and I do this thing. It's this really weird game. Is this fake?
This is a hospital.
The whole thing. Yeah, is it fake?
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
As soon as we find it, we're gonna call it in and we'll move on.
We need this. It's 1 hour. The hospital bills, the funeral bills, it'll all be paid for.
The Cox Group Financial will employ contractors, timber workers, and paper suppliers from the state of North Carolina only. The state will also get 50% of revenues from prisoner phone cards. In addition, the Cox Group Financial will hire 400 full-time employees.
Sounds good.
I would like to make one adjustment.
Oh, your attorney said we had a deal. You said we had a deal.
We almost have a deal, Governor.
For the unethical and unsportsmanlike conduct shown by senseis Terry Silver, John Kreese, and their student Mike Barnes.
Well, there you have it.
I'm sorry, Mr. Lawrence. I don't know you, but I do know Daniel LaRusso, and if he says no, I'm with him.
Awesome.
So great.
So, I mean, I just want to draw attention. Like, that was Helen Hunt and Richard Dreyfuss across the table from him.
Two Oscar winners, man.
Right. I mean, the man is working with Hollywood legends here. So let's welcome to the show, Kurt Yu. Welcome to the show, Kurt. We're so grateful to have you.
Hey, Kurt.
What's up, guys? Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. And I want to say, if you need to bump me for Tony Leung, I'm totally happy to sit back and listen.
We'll invite you back.
Yeah, so you can come back and did you see Shang-Chi? Did you see that movie? We talked about that
twice.
Oh my gosh. We saw that. We talked about that on our last episode, and man, that was a great film. He was so good.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So welcome to the show.
What was your favorite part?
Yeah. We gotta get right to the point.
Yeah, what was your favorite part?
Oh man.
You've seen it twice.
There's so many great there's so many great parts.
There are some really great parts. I think I had shared this on my social media after watching it the second time to confirm what I thought had happened when I watched it the first time, but I wasn't 100% sure. But I said that Shang-Chi is the best superhero because he saved the world while wearing Jordans.
and he was.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
absolutely
he was.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I thought that was one of the. It might be. So I've had some time to think about it. My family and I have been debating because some of the kids were like, "This might be one of the best. Like this might be one of the best Marvel movies." And the more and more I think of it, I still think that Winter Soldier is just way up there for me. Like it's just, there's so much about it and so many elements of other types of movies that he do so well. It's still up there, and the stakes. Right? What's that? And it was in Cleveland. Yeah, it was filmed here. This movie, if it's not first, it might be the second. It might be only to Winter Soldier for me. I think it was fantastic.
Yeah, I think Shang-Chi is probably the best origin story in the MCU. I mean, granted, you don't have the MCU without Iron Man, which was a great movie.
Right.
But I think overall, in terms of like general character development and the emotional content of it, and then of course for me the cultural aspect of it and the impact of that, for me, I think I dare say it's the best origin story in the MCU so far.
I would, definitely agree with that for sure. Because I feel like Iron Man, we talked about it on the other episode. Iron Man kind of set the pattern, and then like Doctor Strange kind of followed that same pattern for an origin. Obviously it was magic and different things, but it followed that like arc kind of. Ant-Man's followed similar, kind of like origin. This was so unique and just over the top amazing. Anyway, that was last week. This week we're talking about Kurt.
Let's talk about Kurt.
Yes,
and then bringing Tony Leung and Michelle Yeoh into the MCU,
right?
Such a, spectacular.
Oh, don't get me started on Michelle Yeoh. She is like absolutely. I absolutely love her so much. And then we talked about Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon last week. And just to see her back on screen doing that kind of stuff is.
They could have just had Michelle Yeoh just standing in the background, even slightly out of focus, and that would have made that scene for me. Yeah. So I mean,
she's fantastic,
amazing, wonderful legends in that movie.
Sure was. So tell us a little bit, Kurt. Now you are from Cleveland. Did you grow up here in Cleveland? I know that you have Cleveland connections, right? You lived here for a while, for sure.
I lived in Cleveland for 23 years.
Okay.
I moved to Cleveland in 6th grade with my parents, not just I didn't just pack up and
just packed up and took a train.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to Cleveland, Ohio in the 6th grade.
I never understand why people move here. It's so cool. Anyway, keep going.
And I lived there up until 2016. So about 5 years ago, Cleveland was my home. So that's where I got started acting. So I have a kind of like a weird story as far as how I got into acting. I mean, I was a math and science kid growing up. I got my college degree in computer science, which I guess is how everybody gets into acting, right?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So I was working full time as a software developer in Cleveland. I was working at the Cleveland Clinic for a while, and I kind of bounced around at different jobs in Ohio. And as a full-time 9 to 5 kind of guy, I was just looking for some things to do after work. And me and my best friend from high school, we were both working. I think I was working at the Cleveland Clinic. He was working at KeyBank. We were both working our corporate jobs, and we were just looking for something fun to do that wasn't just going to happy hours. And one day just happened to walk by this acting school that was up in Coventry. Those from Cleveland are all familiar with Coventry Road in Cleveland Heights.
Oh yeah.
And we were actually we were leaving a bar at 2 a.m. and just happened to be walking back to our cars and walked by, and they weren't having acting classes at 2 a.m. but the school was there, their storefront was there, and we saw that, and me and my buddy were like, hey, this might be something interesting to do. So we kind of jotted down their email address and sent an email the next day to ask about the class, and they're like, yeah, come in for a free class. So it's called the Hood School of Acting. It's run by Jessica Hood Morris, who's the owner of the school and the head teacher there, and the headmaster, if you will. And we're in the Harry Potter world of things. And
Right.
so she she had the school there on Coventry for about 10 years. The whole time that I was there, it was at the Coventry location. And they have since moved their school to downtown Cleveland. It's kind of expanded their space, and the school's grown so much. I'm so proud of that school.
That's awesome.
I'm so proud to have been a part of that school and to started my career there. And since then, I know other actors that have started, classes there that I've known from that school, that have gone to New York, that have gone to LA, that have come here to Atlanta like I did, and have, gotten their careers started and been in movies and TV shows and stuff like that. So it's super cool.
That's awesome.
And I'm glad you mentioned that you're in Atlanta, because I thought that was kind of interesting. A lot of people think, oh, I'm going to get into acting. I'm going to get, try to be in some Hollywood film. So I'm going to move to LA, right? That's where you go. Tell me, why is Atlanta a hotbed for that now?
Yeah, that's what everybody thinks. And that's what I thought too. I think most people don't realize unless they really do the research, right? Most people don't realize, or now if you sit to the end credits of the movie, to the very end, you see that big old Georgia peach
on almost every show and movie.
Yeah, on everything, because so much is filmed here in Atlanta. But unless you're doing that, or even if you're doing that, you're probably not even putting it together. When I was taking classes in Cleveland, I never wanted to move. Like I was totally content working my full-time job and then auditioning for local commercials and little company training videos and things like that in Ohio, because I didn't really want to move to LA. I wasn't a fan of the idea of going out there and being a broke actor. And I'd seen some other people go out there and just like struggle just to pay rent, because LA is such an expensive city, especially compared to Cleveland, right? So it wasn't until I met a couple Atlanta actors who had told me about, what was going on down there, and it was such a booming market, and it's much cheaper than LA. And I researched it, came down here to visit a couple of times, just to check out the city. And that's when I decided to make the move, and I came down here in 2016 and have been here ever since. And, people are surprised when they see like almost all the Marvel shows are shot here. Many of the Marvel movies are shot here. And then all of these other big, obviously Stranger Things, Walking Dead. Ozark, so much Netflix stuff is here, some Hulu shows, and then Cobra Kai, obviously. So there's so much.
Like Cobra Kai is shot in Atlanta too?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. See, I didn't know that.
I mean,
Everything.
you look at all of my acting credits on IMDb; they're all Atlanta,
Wow.
or in the neighboring states like the Carolinas or Louisiana. But everything
London.
is down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, yeah. So looking at your IMDb, I do want to bring up this. This is Mr. Mercedes for those of you guys who don't know. This means that Kurt has been in one of my other favorite universes, which is the Stephen King universe. I'm a huge Stephen King fan. Love this show. Dude, that's Brendan Gleeson you're talking to there. That's Mad Eye Moody from here. You're 1 degree of separation away from Harry Potter at that moment. And I just thought that was really cool. But so is this filmed in Atlanta as well?
This, if I remember correctly, I think it was South Carolina.
Okay. But it's doubling for Ohio, which is what I thought was hilarious. So you went all the way to South Carolina just to pretend like you're in Ohio again.
Right. Exactly. And let me just tell you, Brendan Gleeson was just the nicest guy.
Wow.
Just the best guy to work with. And I love telling people that, just because, we never really know how, our celebrities that we watch on TV or in movies are what they're really like in real life, even though, we see them on like talk shows and things like that. But even then, they're in the media.
Right.
But just being with him when we weren't filming. So that scene that you're looking at, because that was the only scene that I was in for that show. But when we filmed that scene, that was pretty late at night. It was like maybe 2 or 3 in the morning. It was really cold that day, or that night. It was super cold. And you see, he's supposed to come out of his house in his t-shirt. Anytime they aren't filming, right, and they're, moving around the camera for the next shot or something like that, it's perfectly normal for the actors to go inside and warm up or to go into their trailer or whatever. But he was just super cool about it. Just stood out there, chatted with everybody,
That's cool.
So he was a really, really good dude.
That's always good to hear. I love hearing that kind of stuff. If you ever work with Bruce Willis, don't tell me how he really is, because I've heard stories but I love Bruce Willis. I'm like a huge Bruce Willis.
I have worked with Bruce
No,
Willis.
Wait, which one? Which movie did you work with Bruce Willis?
It's not out yet.
Is it a Die Hard movie?
Spoiler!
Good dude. Good dude.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, if you're Kevin Smith, apparently not. But Kevin Smith was also trying to direct him. So who knows what kind of contentious relationship was going on there. But yeah. So is it a Die Hard? Is another? No, okay. You can't. I don't know if you can tell. I mean, and it's funny because I'm kind of fanboying a little bit when you said that. I had no idea, but now I'm very excited to see that, whatever that is.
I was super excited to work with him.
I love him so much. I mean, Die Hard is like my all-time favorite movie. I've been, I am even an avid Die Hard fan of Hudson Hawk. I don't care what it is. He's the greatest, but I love you now have been, I was thinking about it earlier. You've been in like all of these franchises that mean a lot. Well, one, you were just 1 degree of separation from Harry Potter. So you were almost there. And then
might as well be.
You're in the Karate Kid universe, right? You're in Preacher universe, which is another comic book that I love. You're in Stephen King universe. You are, and I was kind of like, all you need now is to be in a Die Hard movie, and you might be my second favorite actor behind Bruce Willis.
And now it's happening.
And now,
Well, now we have to wait for the release.
Yeah, but it's probably not. I feel like we would have heard if it's a Die Hard. Are you allowed to tell us if it's a Die Hard or no, or you're not?
You guys.
If it was a Die Hard movie, I probably wouldn't be able to say, but it isn't. Okay. It's already on my IMDb. The movie.
Oh, okay. I must not have realized it was his.
It's one of those movies that doesn't have a poster yet, so it doesn't show up right away. But it should be out maybe end of this year or early next year.
Very cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So what I'm curious about is, so you went to the acting school.
Mm-hmm.
What's the in between? So you go to acting school, and then what was your big break? What was this? I also want to know, what was this changing moment of when, you know what, I think I'm gonna quit this computer science gig.
Yeah.
Where was that moment?
it's really kind of fluid. There was really never like, these were the defining moments of when things happen. All of it was kind of, they all things kind of just happened. Um, I I started taking the acting classes, like I said, with my buddy just for fun. We were looking for something to do after work. Um, and even when I signed up for the classes, I didn't realize, like, I thought it was just, people there to have fun like we did. I didn't realize anybody in Cleveland had an agent or were auditioning for anything that was making them money. This was how naive I was to the industry. I just thought anything that we saw on TV was filmed in Hollywood, like a local car commercial. I just thought was filmed in Hollywood, and it makes sense now that you think about it. Oh yeah, local commercials would be filmed locally with local production companies and local actors. But, I just didn't understand the whole world of things. Right. So it wasn't until I got into the class and I met some people in class and they're like, oh yeah, I have an agent. Oh yeah, I'm in a commercial that's filming. I'm doing a Mr. Hero commercial next week or whatever. I'm like, oh my God, you're on TV. This is crazy. So it was totally brand new to me. So I kind of had to learn all of that just being in the class. And then it wasn't until about a year of taking classes just for fun, not doing anything else outside of class, until one of my classmates recommended that I talk to her agent. Which is called the Talent Group, and they are based in Cleveland, and they have offices in Cleveland and Pittsburgh, and they do a lot of commercials and corporate training videos and things like that. The type of work that's generally around the smaller markets, and that's how I got my first agent. I got introduced by one of my classmates, and I started auditioning for little things. But again, kept my full-time job. So I would leave work on my lunch hour to go do an audition, and then come back and go back to work. And if I booked something, I would just take a day off, and go do it. And then around 2014, I was working as a software developer, as a contractor. So I was doing like 6 months contracts, 12-month contracts. And I just finished a contract working for CVS, their corporate division, right? And I had finished a 1-year contract. I'd saved up some money and I said, I'm going to take a 6-month break from working. Right. And I had luckily, was able to do that. And I said I could focus a little bit more on the acting stuff and maybe I'll take some side gigs and just see what happens. And basically since then, I haven't gone back to doing a computer science job since. So in that 6 months, I was able to, I started teaching a class at the Hood School as well. I started helping people tape their auditions. And, made some money on the side that way and was able to kind of just get by, and pay the bills. And I just kind of rode that wave for a couple years in Cleveland and then heard about Atlanta. And then at that time, I didn't have a full-time job anymore. There was nothing holding me in Cleveland. My parents had already moved to New Jersey. And I was like, well, might as well try this thing and go to Atlanta and see what happens. With zero expectations of coming down here. I mean, Jeff, when you said that, you're like, you mentioning all the different Marvel universes and Stephen King and all these things and Cobra Kai and all these things that I worked on. It's mind blowing to me. The week that I started taking acting classes in 2008 in Cleveland, Ohio, was I think the same week, or at least the same month, that the first Iron Man came out. So like the MCU really kind of started. Right.
Yeah.
When I was in Cleveland taking acting classes, working on local Mr. Hero commercials and random things like that. So I was a working actor, right, in Cleveland doing these things, but I was still watching movies and shows as only a fan. Like there was no part of my brain at that point watching something like Iron Man and thinking, oh yeah, I could do that. Right, because I'm an actor, I could do
right.
There was such a disconnect.
There was a disconnect.
Yeah. Wow. From what I was doing and what other people were doing on the big screen or on TV. I remember my first month or two in Atlanta. My roommate. So I had a couple friends in acting class at the Hood School who who also decided to come to Atlanta at the same time. We talked about it. We all moved down here. We lived together for a couple of years.
That makes it
and
easier.
My friend got an audition for The Walking Dead.
Mm.
And I just looked at the subject line of his email and just got goosebumps, because I was a huge fan, you know, watching it, just like I was telling you before. I was just watching Walking Dead as strictly a fan for so many years, and not even thinking in my head like there was even the possibility of ever potentially being on that show. And I haven't been on that show, but I've known so many of my friends here in Atlanta that are on The Walking Dead. It's just amazing.
Now,
That's so cool.
Was there a role or a moment where you know, like you said, where it kind of clicks, where you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm on the set and this, this is it. I'm making movies. You know, was there a specific time that was kind of like that moment of clarity?
My very first movie was actually, I was still in Cleveland, and it was a movie that was filmed in Pittsburgh. And this was 2010 or 2011. And it was called Won't Back Down. And it starred Maggie Gyllenhaal, Viola Davis, Holly Hunter, Oscar Isaac. At the time, it was really only Maggie Gyllenhaal was kind of like well known at that. Even then, Oscar Isaac wasn't super well known.
Right. Sure.
Viola Davis was on her rise at that point, right? But at this point, like, they weren't the huge stars that they were right now. But I remember getting that movie, going on set, and my scene was with Maggie Gyllenhaal. And I just had like this little 20-second like interaction with her. And I was like, this is crazy. I can't believe that I'm actually doing this. But that movie, funny enough, it ended up breaking the box office record for the worst opening weekend of all time. Not many people ended up seeing it. It's kind of funny. But the other thing was coming to Atlanta. I came here, like I said, to visit a couple of times. And on one of my trips, I actually tried to set some meetings up with some agents down here. And I got to meet my agent, who's currently still my agent after 5 years, and sat down with them, had a great conversation with them. They agreed to represent me. I told them I wasn't in Atlanta yet. I was in the process of moving, but I'm going to be in Ohio for a little bit. The thing with the Atlanta market at the time was that the majority of auditions were self-taped, which means that you get to record the auditions yourself, either at a taping studio, which there are a lot of audition taping services in Atlanta, or if you have the capability, you can record it at home. And I just said, you know, if you have things that I can just record at home, I can do that from Cleveland. If I get it, then I'll come down to Atlanta to film it or whatever. And there was one time early on, I was still in Cleveland, like about a month away from moving, and I got an audition for this random role on a show for a lawyer. I did the audition, I sent it in, didn't hear back for a while. I assumed it was over, and then got a call from my agent like 2 weeks later, said, hey, are you available to be in North Carolina tonight to shoot tomorrow for this show that you auditioned for a couple of weeks ago? And understanding the industry now, what probably happened is they did book an actor, something happened, right? Something fell through, the actor's dates got mixed up or whatever. They couldn't do it anymore. They had to go with another actor. They called me. So of course it was for a TV show. So I was like, yeah, I've never been on a TV show before. Of course, I'll do it. I'll figure it out. I'll be in North Carolina tonight. And then my agent was like, okay, don't do anything yet. You're not officially booked. They just want to check your availability. I'll get back to you. Long story short, they never officially booked me, even after it was up until the last flight of the night to get to Charlotte. I ended up booking the flight. I ended up getting on the plane and turning off my phone. I still hadn't gotten the green light yet. And it wasn't until the plane landed and I got the email, or I got the voicemail from my agent, said, okay, they've officially booked you. So I ended up making that. Yeah, it was kind of a crazy day. And so it was 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. at this point at the airport. I finally get to the hotel they sent me the new script, and of course my lines are different. So now I got to memorize these new lines for the next day, and I'm kind of like freaking out a little bit. It's going to be my first TV show. Got all these new lines to memorize. It's already like 10 or 11 p.m. I got to get ready for the next morning, and then I get the call sheet, and I look at what show it is. I knew what show it was, but it was a new show, so I didn't know anything about it. So I get the call sheet, and I see who else is in it. And that was the scene with Richard Dreyfuss and Helen Hunt.
Wow.
That was my very first time on a TV show. I was already sweating bullets. And now I'm across from 2 Oscar winners.
That's fantastic.
And I got to hold my own in that scene. It is
How
crazy.
insane.
It was mind-blowing.
Oh, wow.
That is crazy.
That's so that was your first TV. That was your first TV show.
First time on a TV show, and it's got to be with 2 Oscar winners. It's
oh
nuts.
My gosh!
It's nuts.
Oh, that's insane. Now I'm gonna have to go back and watch that show.
I was so nervous.
Well,
I can't even explain how nervous I was. Shit. If you watch even in that clip of my demo reel, there was one moment where I kind of shift my weight, and it looks totally natural on camera. It looks like just a real person talking, and they shift their weight. We shift our weight when we are sitting down all the time.
Right.
But I specifically remember that was a nervous. I had so much energy.
You're just fidgeting.
I couldn't even sit still. I had to shift. I had to move.
Were you able to interact with them like in between takes? And I'm assuming that there were like multiple takes and multiple shots.
Yeah, a little bit. And most times on set, it's just, especially the big stars of the show, they have a lot more to do,
Sure.
So you kind of like leave them and let them be, unless they're the ones that, and sometimes they're the ones that, initiate the conversation. They just want to hang out and chat, which is cool. But what was really neat about that set, especially one, it was my first time on that set, but seeing those 2 Oscar winners, we were in the same little green room, holding room area whenever they weren't shooting. So they would put us in that room, and the scene is really their scene, right? It was the first time that those 2 Oscar winners are going to have an interaction on this show. So they were going to write a cool scene for them, and they kind of have their back and forth. And it was neat to see them talk through the scene with each other. And talk about, from using actor vocabulary, right? Talking about their objectives, talking about what they want from each other, what are their obstacles, and all these things. And it was really cool, because I was like, wow, this is what we're taught in acting class. It was like, it wasn't a scam after all.
They're using the same things that you were taught.
They're using the same things, and they're talking through. And there's these 2 Oscar winners that are talking through a scene the same way we would do in our scene study classes. So I was like, this is super cool.
So that's great validation on what you learned. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Well, so let's go from Helen Hunt and Richard Dreyfuss to arguably 2 other amazing actors with Cobra Kai. We had mentioned that. So I had mentioned that I just caught up with Cobra Kai, and I just saw the episode where they're talking to the committee for the tournament, which is your first scene in the series, right?
Yeah.
And,
that was the first. Yeah, that was my first time on set.
First time on set, and you get to see Ralph Macchio, and I mean, how was that? What was that like?
Oh, it was super cool. I mean, I remember being on set that day, and I think they were setting up the shot with us in the room. If I'm remembering this correctly, I think they were setting up the shot with us in the room, and Ralph and Billy, neither of them were there yet. And so when I think maybe Ralph got there first, and when he walked in the room, so there's part of the scene is Ralph like walking in the room, and we're all greeting him, right?
Right.
And like when he actually did it, when we weren't filming, it was kind of the same reaction from all of us in the committee, because we were all super happy to see him. And in the scene, we were also like, just as like, we weren't really even acting at that point, we were just,
They were
genuine reactions to like meeting Ralph Macchio. So that, it was really fun. I snuck a picture on set when we were there. Not in the set, but in our waiting area. And in the waiting area, like all the actors have our little like director chairs, right? There are cast chairs that we're sitting in, and the committee members, we were all kind of sitting together, and Ralph and Billy had their own chairs. They were about maybe 10 feet in front of us. And they had special chairs where Ralph had one that said Miyagi-Do, that, you know, in the back, and Billy had one that said Cobra Kai on the back. And they were just sitting next to each other, just talking to each other. And I just pull out my phone and just like snuck that little picture of the Miyagi-Do chair and the Cobra Kai chair, and then those two guys chatting with each other. It was really
a great picture.
So now, were you a fan? Like, did you watch Karate Kid as a young?
100%.
So this was 100%. Like a nostalgic thing for you as well, then.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's the thing that I think would be the most amazing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're getting to be in things that you loved, you know, as a kid. And it's like, wait, first of all, they're still making stuff about the stuff when we were kids. Like, that's fantastic. Yeah. Like the Karate Kid is still going on. And now you get a chance to be,
you know what, that's one of the coolest things about this particular show is that, so I got to meet the showrunners and the creators of the show. John Hurwitz, Hayden Schlossberg, and oh man, well, I can't remember his name now. Anyways, the three showrunners, they grew up as fans of the show. Mm-hmm. So like you could see that the creators of the show, like they're having so much fun with it, right? And they care about these characters so much.
You can tell.
They care about the show so much. And Josh Held. Yeah. So John, Hayden, and Josh. The three of them care about the show so much. And that's why there's like, you could tell like there's so much heart in this in the series. And I think a big part of it is that, you know, these guys started off as fans, you know, and they ended up creating this, and you know, I'm super excited to be a part of it.
Are you allowed to say if the committee members come back next season? Will we?
I don't know if I am or I'm not allowed to say, but I mean, there's a tournament next season, and they've already showed that.
So I was just like, do we get to see committee again?
I think, you know, people can maybe make the assumption that the committee members will be at the tournament.
Very cool.
That sounds pretty logical to me.
Yeah.
Almost required, I would say.
Yeah. and you know, as a Cobra Kai fan and also being part of the show, I'm pretty biased, but I'm really excited to see the Emmys, and hopefully, fingers crossed that that Cobra Kai can pull it out. If I'm going to be unbiased, and if we're taking Cobra Kai out of the equation, I also loved Ted Lasso. I think it was just a perfect show. I think, you know, one of the things that was amazing about Ted Lasso was that, you know, we got to catch it on its first season. It was brand new. It was so cool. Whereas Cobra Kai, its first two seasons were on YouTube Red. Nobody knew about it. Yeah. Nobody watched it on YouTube Red.
I did. I got YouTube Red to watch that show.
Yeah.
So
you had like the super fans that were able to see that, but like the rest of the world weren't exposed to it. So Cobra Kai kind of came into, you know, the rest of the world a little bit later.
And it had matured by then too. Like it was like a much more like solid show as it's grown, it's gotten better and better. And one of the things that I love about it, and the fact that you said that the showrunners have such an affection for the material is clear to me, because I feel, and you know, as somebody who grew up, I was born in the early 70s, grew up through the 80s, 90s. So I saw this in the theater the first time. I watched all three of them. I even saw the next Karate Kid. You know, I was just watched all of those. I'm still hoping there's a Hilary Swank cameo coming at some point. That'd be kind of fun. I mean,
one of the showrunners did say like that's all part of the universe.
That's
so
right. Yeah. So I'd love to see that happen. But it's clear that they love the show, because to me, this is what a revival is supposed to look like. Like so many of these other shows, they bring them back and then they just either completely overhaul them and lose the spirit of it, or it's too much of a clone that, you know what I mean, that they don't try anything new. And, you know, to me, I felt like Cobra Kai has captured the spirit in such an amazing way, and then has flipped everything on its head. Like, you know, Johnny, you know, we actually get to hear his story now. We get to know who he is. And you know, every time they go up against each other in the show, you're like, come on, guys, just hug. We can get it over with. You're going to be best friends when this is all over. We all know that's where this is going. But yeah, it's clear that they love the material, and I would love to see more. If there's going to be this is not I like to call it a revival. It's not really a reboot or a remake. It's a revival. It's a sequel. It's a continuation.
They're continuing the story.
I feel like that's what, they're trying to do with the new Ghostbusters, Afterlife, things like that's what I love to see. It's like, we have nothing but love and respect for the original material, and we want to bring it to a new generation and show how much we love it, not change it into what we hope it should have been or something. Cobra Kai is a beautiful example of that.
That's one of the funny things about being an actor, especially here in Atlanta, and I'm sure in LA or New York too, anywhere where it's a pretty big market and we're auditioning for, some of the major movies and shows, is that we're seeing them before anybody else in terms of the auditions, right? I remember auditioning for Cobra Kai and like first seeing the name, and I'm like, okay, I know Cobra Kai. Like, is this part of Karate Kid? Like, we didn't know the storyline yet. We just know we're auditioning for something called Cobra Kai. And we're like, is this part of the Karate Kid universe? Like, what are they actually doing? And then after researching it a little bit, it is sort of, we have the idea that it's kind of a continuation kind of story. And at this point, we have no idea if it's like, is this going to be like a really dumb show, right? Or are they going to be able to pull something off that's kind of cool? But during that whole process, whenever it's something brand new like that, it's kind of interesting being an actor to kind of see it before it goes out into the world, and before it gets even made, right? We're just looking at the script at this point, and it's really neat to see it kind of grow from those first days of auditioning for it to what it has become now.
That's cool. Did you know that Ralph and Billy were involved in the show at that time? No. So you didn't know until much later.
No. Yeah, not until much later. And the funny thing is, when I auditioned for the show, I auditioned for 3 different characters. And they did want to hire me for one of the characters at one point. I wasn't available. So the role went to somebody else. And then finally this role on the committee came up and they offered that role to me. And I luckily was available. And it worked out so much better because the other one was just a 1 episode character. And then this one ends up being in multiple characters.
Nice.
Being in multiple episodes. Yeah.
And you got to be in the same room with both Ralph and Billy.
Yeah.
And I thought there's no way they're going to get Elizabeth Shue to come on the show. And then she showed up in that episode. And I was like,
amazing.
What? Like those. Yeah. Of course, she was.
And they didn't do anything. They didn't do any of it in like a cheesy way or anything. Like it all had a legitimate story of why they're bringing these characters in, into the universe again, which is amazing.
That's fantastic. So we're coming up a little bit close to the end of the show, and I definitely want to talk a little bit about Black Widow because that's the most recent thing that's kind of come out. You've seen it now too, Aaliyah, right? We've all seen Black Widow. It was a great movie. Tell us about how you got involved in Black Widow, and ultimately, where we can find you. I actually have a clip from it we're going to show, but I'll wait till you to kind of tell us the story a little bit.
So we said earlier how so many of the Marvel things are filmed here in Atlanta, movies and shows. As actors, though, Marvel is so secretive about their projects. So when we get an audition for anything Marvel related, it'll say untitled Marvel project. Or untitled Marvel film or untitled Marvel show. Right now, because there's so many Marvel shows filming, it'll say something like Marvel streaming show number 3 or Marvel streaming show number 4. But then we're able to
that was my favorite one, by the way, Marvel streaming show number 4.
Yeah. We're able to kind of piece it together. Even the sides that we're given, the audition script that we're given, sometimes are fake, are not are not real, because they don't want to give anything away. They don't want anything like getting leaked. But for Black Widow, it just said untitled Marvel feature film, and it was a fairly short scene. It was actually the scene that made it into the movie. Was my audition, and
wow. They actually used sides from the script then.
Yeah, but they changed it around a little bit. They gave some of William Hurt's lines to me. And that happens sometimes with auditions, especially when you're reading for a smaller role, is they put some more lines in there just to get a sense of your acting. And then when they book you, then you'll see what your actual scene is going to be. But the part of the scene didn't really make sense because the dialogue was kind of clunky, because they gave some of his lines to me, and it just, like, the conversation didn't really make sense to me. But I remember it was a self-tape, so I recorded the audition at home. I sent it in. I just kind of forgot about it. Part of it was just like, all right, this is a Marvel movie, whatever. I'm not going to get this. They're going to audition like a million people for this. So I just forgot about it afterwards. And then one day I got an email from my agent. They're like, hey, you booked it, and you're going to London to film. And so,
wow.
And that was kind of like a last minute thing too. They said, be ready you may need to fly out as early as tomorrow morning. So start packing.
Wow.
It turned out they didn't need me until like a few days later. So I had a few days to kind of prepare, but we were in London for about 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. And then we filmed 3 scenes in London and 1 scene in Georgia. And the only scene of ours that made it to the movie was the one in Georgia. So they brought us to London for 3 weeks, and they didn't use any of it. One of those scenes made it into the DVD, into the deleted
I was
scene.
going to say.
I haven't seen those yet because I watched it on Disney. I didn't see.
Yeah, but the other ones are not. They're somewhere out there in the ether.
And that's,
I don't know.
But that's in the London scenes where you got to do with Scarlett Johansson.
I got to meet her on set one day, on one of the days.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, there were parts of it that were shown in some of the trailers that never ended up making it to the final movie. And I did get to meet Scarlett. She was super cool on set as well. But yeah, didn't make it into the movie.
So I'm gonna play a quick clip of a part that did make it into the movie here real quick. Hold on, let me see if I can get this to come up. We will see how this works. Here we go.
Got an empty nest, Secretary Ross. Retractor, sir.
There we go. That was Kurt, you guys.
Yeah.
I love that. What I love about these stories that you're telling is like all the stuff that went into it, and then sometimes like hours on set filming and going over and doing blocking and doing all that stuff. And you got to hand some, but that's William Hurt.
Yeah.
Like, again, another legend. Like, this is
another legend.
This is just fantastic. And you were in there again too, but I couldn't clip everything. That was the first one that popped up, and I'm like, I got to show it. It was just really fun. But he got the tracker from Black Widow and handed it to General Ross. How cool is that?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Kate Shortland, the director, was great to work with on set. Super welcoming, especially for us. Like when I say us, they brought 6 actors from Atlanta to be like Secretary Ross's agents, to walk around with him in every scene that he was in. So basically, he had a bigger storyline in the movie, and they were going to cut away to more scenes of him trying to follow the trail of Black Widow, right? And those scenes kind of all got cut from the movie. In every scene, the 6 of us agents were going to be with him. But when we arrived on set in London for our first day, that was their 50th day of filming already. So we were kind of brought in, they were already well into the movie. And sometimes when you're an actor, you're playing some of the smaller roles, you go on set, you feel like kind of an outsider. You just come in, you do your job, and then you leave. But Kate Shortland, the director, she was super welcoming, made us feel like that we were a important part of the story, sat down and talked to us, talked about the scene with us, and she was wonderful to work with.
That's awesome.
It's good to hear.
Yeah.
You got to interview her for your YouTube channel, didn't you?
I did. And that was amazing. I mean, that was one of the reasons why I felt comfortable reaching out to her to ask her for an interview, was because how great she was on set. Yeah. Because there have been times, I told her in the interview, I said, there have been times I've gone onto a movie set to play one of these day player characters, and the director never even spoke to me once. Like, I arrived, I did my job, and then I left. So yeah, it's nice to get that type of treatment from a director. It doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And you can find out more.
I have a question.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Aaliyah.
It's a very random question. I've been thinking about it since I saw this image.
It doesn't sound so random then.
Where is your dog?
Oh yeah.
I really wanted to know your dog.
She's back.
It's this iconic dog. That's just.
It's back on the couch sleeping. Let me see if I can wake her up.
Oh, I don't want to.
I'm so sorry.
Oh,
it's this iconic
that
dog.
is true.
I've been wanting.
The photo that you sent for the promo is just amazing, and we can see more of your dog on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Her
name's Tofu.
Tofu, that's right.
Oh my! I'm so sorry to wake you up.
Oh, look at her.
Oh, look at the sweetheart. Oh, she's adorable.
And that's why everybody tuned in. We really wanted to just see the dog.
Oh, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
She's definitely the star of your Instagram, and which people can find. What is your name on Instagram?
It's just my first and last name.
Yeah.
It's just Kurt Yu.
Yeah. And they can also find out more about your Black Widow story on your YouTube channel, which is Acting Career Center, or Actors Career Center. Acting Career Center.
Right. Yep.
Which is really interesting. Like, there's some really interesting videos and stuff on there. And then, that's got to feel pretty good. I mean, again, you just started at an acting school. Now you're teaching others to do the same thing. And that's pretty amazing. So check out his YouTube channel. And you can see more of that. Follow him on Instagram so you can see more of his dog. Kurt, thank you so much. We want to respect your time as we're coming up on and the Emmys are getting ready to start. So thank you so much for being here today. It was absolutely an honor. We'd love maybe even to have you back maybe after the Bruce Willis movie comes out, because I know I'm going to want to talk about that. But thank you so much for giving your time to us tonight.
Thank you for showing me your dog.
Absolutely. She's wide awake now.
Look at her.
Oh my
God. Thank you guys so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
No, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you guys for tuning into the Podcast is Real, official podcast of World Gone Geek. We're going to be here every Sunday. Basically, I'm going to play the music because it's time. We're here every Sunday providing pop culture entertainment and podcasts from the next day. So make sure you subscribe, like, follow, whatever the function happens to be where you're watching us and enjoying. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch now with our live streams, and our podcasts are on all the major platforms. So just search for World Gone Geek. We'd love for you to be a part of the community, be a citizen of World Gone Geek. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.
The Podcast is Real is a World Gone Geek production.